Peace, beautiful souls. Okay, let's talk about my philosophy, right? There's a lot of parts. So, overall, though, my philosophy, right, is that we are all the Most High experiencing ourselves as everything. We are not separate from each other, we are not separate from the earth or all these things. In a physical sense, technically, yes, we are, right? But that's just an illusion because as the Most High, right, as our highest, as source creator of all things, we are so infinite, right? There's literally an infinite amount of possibilities, an endless amount of possibilities, and within one realm, within one dimension, there's so much that can happen and can be, right? So we created all these worlds, all these realms, dimensions, galaxies, planets, universes, multiverses, all of these things, and then all the things within those things, such as, plants, rocks, walls, buildings, food, all these things, right? To experience ourselves in every possible way, good and bad, dark and light, the cats, all of these things, right? And literally everything is us. We are everything. Everything is the Most High. The Most High is everything. You get what I'm saying? And so, like, yeah, the idea of separatism, different races, all these things, it's literally an illusion and a part of the game that we created to, again, just experience different things such as separatism, because in reality we are literally everything, right? And so it's just funny to me, like, something I've noticed even before I stepped into this remembrance, right, is that even with things like schizophrenia, people love to like label things crazy or wrong for things like that they misunderstand, that they simply just do not understand. Just because you do not see or feel something or hear something the way that other people do does not make them crazy, does not make them wrong, does not make them in a state of psychosis, all of these different things. It's the people's like cognitive dissonance that does not allow them to see the possibility of something else besides their truth to be true or to be even possible. And I was definitely guilty of that once upon a time. I remember a time I've told you guys this story a while back. Like, I met this woman, I was dating this woman at this time, and we went to get her hair retwisted, and as soon as like we walked in the lady's house, she like, the way she was looking at me was just like, I don't know, intense. And she started playing this gospel music, but so loud, and like was really like into it. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was just like, nothing was happening, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, I could feel it was so intense, right? And I thought it was because we were two women together, and she to me was clearly religious in a sense, right? So that's what I thought it was about. But then she ends up like, I can't remember everything she told me, but she just goes on this spewel of things. And I remember my physical self and myself that was full of cognitive dissonance was like, this lady is crazy, but my spirit felt her. Like, I literally cried. I had to leave her house and not go back in, and not because it was bad, it was overwhelming. And a few of the things I do remember to say that her saying is like, the Most High called her to fast, and then during her fast he showed her other planets, he showed her other beings, all these things. And I was like, this lady is tripping. The Most High didn't show her anything. She was freaking hallucinating because she wasn't eating. And in reality, no, when you fast and you stop eating, right, and things like that, you really do connect more to your spirit, connect more to the Most High, connect more to your God, the Most High, your guides, and like the divinity of everything, right? Because you're not filling your body with all these things, and most food that people eat is not actual food, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but at the time, where my mindset was, because I didn't understand her, I labeled her as crazy, just like a lot of people do me, which is totally fine, because now I take it as a compliment. Before it was like a little offensive and stuff like that. But no, like, again, just because someone doesn't have the same views as you does not make them crazy. And not everybody is meant to understand at the capacity that you understand things, because everybody's journey is different. Because again, she understood something that I didn't at that time, and now I understand exactly what the hell she's saying, and I've experienced what she's saying as well, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm crazy. It's just like we tap into different levels at different time. And again, just like we are everything and we are the Most High, we chose this journey that we were going on prior to us coming here. That's another thing that I remembered during my journey that has helped me cope with or make peace with my traumas, make peace with like certain dynamics in my family or certain things. You chose your parents, you chose the biggest things you were going to go through to shape you into who it was that you chose to be in this life, if that makes sense. Which I trust it does to those, and to some it won't. But if that's something you are still struggling with, I trust my philosophy on things will help you with that. Like, nothing is happening to you, everything is happening for you, and you chose all of these things to happen to rise you up, to help you remember the truth, your truth, whatever that may be, to help you remember and step into who it is you are meant to be in this life. And that's another thing, a part of my philosophy. You live more than one life. You only live once, kind of. You only live this specific life once, but you live an infinite amount of lives, and they're also all happening at the same time. Past, present, future, that's a bit of an illusion as well. It's all happening at the same time. Everything, like energy itself, cannot be created or destroyed, right? So everything that has ever existed already exists and still exists, if you get what I'm saying. It's not something that happens at a certain time only, but at certain times we're tapped into those realms, those timelines, which make it more past, present, or future-ish, if you get what I'm saying. Which is another thing with the deja vu. A lot of people, like, why it didn't make sense to me, because like I said at first, like, we live this specific life only one time. But think about it, if you are creating this life before you lived it, of course when you have a deja vu moment, you're going to feel like you lived it before and saw it before, because you did, because you created it. You get what I'm saying? And even just meeting people that you feel like you've met before, your soul doesn't forget things, your spirit doesn't forget things, the God in you does not forget things, okay? But that's another thing too. People say, like, why do we come here? If like reincarnation is real, why do we forget? Or if we are God, like, why do we forget these things? Because again, we're wanting to experience things, like everything in totality, even thinking that we are separate from the Most High, thinking that we don't know everything. Because again, being in our state, our highest state of all knowing, that gets pretty boring. Imagine just knowing everything all the time, 24/7, like, and then being the one being. Again, we're one supreme being that created all these things. That can get lonely, even if at your highest state. Like, and sometimes when I really get into like the forgetting part, and I get brought back to that truth, it's like, yeah, no, we created this to experience all these things, to experience love, sadness, hate, touch, physical touch, like all of these things, because at our all-knowing state, we're just an energy, you know, and we're energy now too, but manifested in all these different physical forms. You get what I'm saying? And to be able to create, like, make yourself into art, like, touch the trees, touch everything, like, it's literally to experience. Another part of my philosophy of what's the point of life, to experience whatever you want to experience. And sometimes things you don't want to, but again, that's an illusion, because we created this. And like, that's why I say too, like, the powers that be that have the world in a state of hell, that's another thing, another part of my philosophy. Thank you so much. Hell and heaven, it's real in a sense, but not, to me, not the way that they've taught us to believe, that it's like after you die. We do have to have like certain spiritual deaths and rebirths within ourselves, within mindsets, within thought patterns, within certain actions. You choose whether or not you're going to live in a state of hell. And like those 7 deadly sins, they align also with the chakras, right? Again, we create our heaven or hell. If you're doing these sinful things, like being lustful, gluttonous, all these things, right? Overeating is a part of gluttony, or over consuming, being so much in the material world. You're going to be in a lower vibrational state, because you're pulling too much, you're over pulling, and stuff like lust. Your sacral chakra is in overdrive. You're not trying to move from heart space, you're moving from a lustful sense, which is a sin, which would again keep you in a state of hell. But here in the now, not afterwards, here in the now, because you're not moving in alignment. Your chakras are all out of balance. You're not in alignment. So when you're not in alignment, you're usually moving from an unbalanced state, and from your lower chakras in an unbalanced state. Because moving from your chakras overall, if they're balanced and they're open and flowing correctly, it's a beautiful thing, right? But usually it's going to flow completely, not stay stuck in just a few of them. Now when you're stuck, you're in this hell on earth state. The way you view the world, the way you view yourself, the way you treat other people, that's another thing. that also makes sense as like we are everything, everything is us, nothing is separate from us. Why karma and things like dharma come into play. What you put out is what you receive, because what you put out, you're putting out to yourself. If you're constantly an a-hole to people or sending them bad energy and doing all these things, it's going to come right back to you, because they are you, you are them in a different state. Now when you're putting out the other energy, that's going to come back in itself. And let's just, it's not as simple as that either, because past life stuff comes to this life. Like, you also have those things come in and things like that, right? So, but it just makes sense. It doesn't make sense to everybody, but it literally makes sense to me, and I feel it so deeply in my soul, and I hear it, I get reminded of it many times in many different ways. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest part of my philosophy. Yeah, and just don't be so quick to judge, because one day you might be them. That person that you're calling crazy, you might be them. Yeah, I think that's like the biggest parts of my philosophy. But yeah, I love you. I'll see you later.